What's up, Commanders fans? We've got a huge story developing that could completely reshape our pass rush and push this team even closer to true Super Bowl contention. The Washington Commanders are being urged to pull off one more blockbuster trade. This time for all-pro edge rusher Trey Hendrickson, who's stuck in a nightmare situation in Cincinnati. But before we dive into what this could mean for our defense, our playoff hopes, and how it connects to Adam Peters' aggressive offseason moves, hit that like button, subscribe to Commanders HQ, and turn on notifications so you never miss a beat from the most passionate Washington coverage on YouTube. Let's get into it! Let's call it like it is. Edge rusher is still a major question mark on this Commanders roster. Yes, we like what Dorrance Armstrong Jr. brings to the table. He's tough, he plays with fire, and he knows Dan Quinn's system inside and out from their time in Dallas. But let's be real. A 14% pass rush win rate isn't elite. That's according to Pro Football Focus, and for a guy expected to lead the charge off the edge, that number is concerning. And when you look around him, Dante Fowler Jr. is gone. Back to the Cowboys. There are some rotational guys and hopeful contributors, sure, but no one who puts genuine fear into opposing offensive lines. That's the reality. And that's exactly why the Commanders are being linked to Trey Hendrickson. So why is Trey Hendrickson even available? Well, this week, things blew up between the star pass rusher and the Cincinnati Bengals. Hendrickson, a four-time Pro Bowler and one of the NFL's top sack artists, publicly revealed that communication has completely broken down with the Bengals over his contract situation. He's made it clear. He's not playing in 2025 unless he gets a new deal. And Bengals ownership, led by Mike Brown, hasn't exactly been known for opening the wallet when tension rises. If they're not going to pay him, trading him becomes the only real option. And that's where Washington enters the chat. According to Clutch Points' Douglas Fritz, Washington should pounce on this opportunity. And honestly, it makes a ton of sense. Let's connect the dots. Hendrickson is still just 30 years old. He's coming off a 16-sack season. Yes, 16. He instantly becomes the best pass rusher on our roster and gives us the kind of player who commands double teams and wrecks game plans. And here's the kicker. The Commanders have the cap space to extend him if they want to. So why hesitate? Well, it's not that simple. Adam Peters has already been aggressive. Very aggressive. He's moved draft capital to bring in Marshawn Lattimore, Deebo Samuel, and Laramie Tunsil. Those were big-time trades that changed the face of our team. But they came at a cost. Washington is without a second-round pick in 2026. And while trading a first-rounder for a 30-year-old defensive end is probably a non-starter, a creative package of day 2 picks could be in play. The question is, does Peters still have enough left in the cupboard to make it happen? And would he be willing to risk even more draft flexibility to go all in on a 2025 run? The good news, if Peters does make it happen, the reward could be massive. Adding Trey Hendrickson to this defensive line would be a seismic move. Imagine opposing offenses trying to game plan for Hendrickson flying off the edge, Lattimore locking down one side of the field, and young studs like Jer'Zhan Newton and Johnny Newton, yes, they're calling it the Newtonian defense now, holding down the interior. That's a front capable of championship-caliber disruption. And let's not forget, the Commanders weren't bad against the pass last year. In fact, under defensive coordinator Joe Witt Jr., they ranked top 12 in pass defense efficiency. With better pass rush, that number could skyrocket. This is the kind of move that turns a dangerous team into a legitimate threat. And let's not forget, the entire identity of this offseason has been about winning now. Head coach Dan Quinn said it himself on The Rich. Eisenshow, when you lose in the playoffs, there's a finality to it that you're not ready for. Adam Peters took that message to heart. That's why he brought in Deebo Samuel and Laramie Tunsil. That's why he retooled the offensive line and rebuilt the secondary. He's not building slowly. He's competing now. He's building around Jayden Daniels, a rookie quarterback with generational traits, and giving him the tools to succeed immediately. With Cliff Kingsbury dialing up creative plays and an offensive unit that now includes Debo, McLaurin, Dotson, Eckler, and Tunsil, the offense looks stacked. But to truly close the gap with contenders like the 49ers, Lions, or Eagles, the defense needs one more star. That star might just be Hendrickson. Look, we know Adam Peters is not afraid to swing for the fences, but this one would come with risk. If it doesn't work out, it might hurt long-term flexibility. But fans don't want to wait 3 years. They want to win now. And trading for Trey Hendrickson would be the exclamation point on an offseason that's already been bold, exciting, and wildly ambitious. It would signal to the league that the Commanders are done rebuilding and ready to dominate. Now the question becomes, does Peters have one more ace up his sleeve? Let's keep it real. The Washington Commanders have had offensive line issues for years. You could argue that ever since the decline of Trent Williams' situation, that fiasco, this team has struggled to keep its quarterbacks clean. From Taylor Heinicke scrambling for his life, to Carson Wentz seeing ghosts, to Sam Howell taking over 60 sacks, and even Jayden Daniels, the future of the franchise, spending large stretches of last season running for his life. It's been the same story on repeat, and fans have been fed up. Daniels' elite mobility masked how bad things were up front. But if this team really wants to chase a Super Bowl window, they couldn't keep putting their most valuable player in harm's way. And finally, they've addressed it head on. Let's give GM Adam Peters his flowers. While the rest of the league was eyeing flashy free agents this offseason, Peters moved fast, locking down one of the best blindside protectors in football, Laramie Tunsil. That move alone would have been bold. But Peters doubled down during the draft, snagging Oregon standout Josh Connolly Jr. with the 29th overall pick, a guy many analysts believe could be a long-term answer at right tackle or even slide inside if needed. Look, when you trade for Debo Samuel, bring in Marshawn Lattimore, and land a 3-time Pro Bowl left tackle in Tunsil, it's clear. This team is not waiting around. They're building for a championship run now. Let's talk about what this really means for Jayden Daniels. This isn't just about sacks allowed or PFF pass blocking grades. This is about giving your franchise quarterback the confidence to stand tall in the pocket, go through his reads, and unleash that cannon of an arm. Daniels is already a unicorn, the kind of rare dual-threat weapon you build your entire organization around. But even unicorns need protection. You can't have your future MVP scrambling every play or risking injury because the pocket's collapsing before the snap. If Tunsil locks down the left side, and Connolly even comes close to living, up to the hype, you've got the bookend tackles this team has been dreaming of for years. No more duct tape O-lines. No more over-the-hill veterans or day 3 flyers thrown into the fire. Washington is finally building this thing the right way. Analysts are taking notice too. Andrew Weitz from Pro Football Focus recently highlighted the Commanders as a team whose offensive line is poised to skyrocket in 2025, largely because of the elite traits that Tunsil and Connolly bring to the table. Now, Tunsil's not perfect. He led the league in penalties last season, but he's still one of the most dominant pass protectors in football when locked in. Connolly, he might need a little time, but he posted a 78.1 grade on true pass sets at Oregon and brings the kind of athleticism and length that just doesn't grow on trees. The Commanders aren't just hoping these guys work out. They're counting on it. Make no mistake. The expectation inside that building is that these two will dominate from day one. They didn't give up serious capital to get Tunsil so he could coast. They didn't burn a first-round pick on Connolly so he could sit and learn. The Commanders need immediate production from both, especially with the NFC East as competitive as ever. The stakes? Enormous. Washington came one win away from the Super Bowl last year. One game. And what was their weakness? Pressure up front. If that's fixed, and if Daniels gets time, this offense could explode. Now here's a little bonus for you. With all this talk about Daniels, Debo, and the O-line, don't forget about Zach Ertz, who was just named the most underrated player on the roster by PFF's Jonathan Macri. At 34 years old, Ertz had his best season since 2019. Over 80 catches, 809 yards, and a top 10 target share among tight ends. And with a better O-line, you give Daniels more time, and that means more windows for savvy vets like Ertz to work the middle of the field. He re-signed for a reason. He sees the vision. He believes in this team, and you better believe he wants one more shot at a ring. Dan Quinn talked about it too. This isn't just about adding talent. It's about building something bigger. A brotherhood. A new identity. The Commanders are no longer a laughingstock. They're not rebuilding. They're reloading. And while Debo and Lattimore got the headlines, the real MVP move this offseason might have been fixing the one thing that's haunted this team for over half a decade. Offensive line stability. With Tunsil and Connerly in the trenches, and Daniels leading the charge, this team isn't sneaking up on anybody. They're coming for everything. What do you think, Commanders fans? Should Washington go all in and trade for Trey Hendrickson? Or should they stay patient and trust the current pass rush group to grow? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear from every corner of the Burgundy and Gold fan base. And, as always, if you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, subscribe to Commanders HQ, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update from your favorite insider voice on all things Washington. We're just getting started this season, and it's going to be a wild ride. Hail to the Commanders! Let's go!